Nation Black Power, welcome to another edition of Baba TV, House of Consciousness in the Mecca on 125th Street with my big brother, none other than Herman Smalls. Brother, talk a little bit about what just went on there with the movies there.
Okay, depending upon how Baba chooses to edit this, we rolled up on a situation where there was some law enforcement action being taken against one of our local brothers who was a vendor. So quite naturally, you know how Baba rolls, you know how Sarnetta rolls. You know, this ain't play out here. If someone in our community is being confronted, being in any way jostled by what we consider in most instances a hostile force, an occupying force, the NYPD. We looking into it and we come in with bells, whistles, and cameras running. So that was the case. We was in full mode to engage the situation. And usually is the case, you know, when the camera is in place, most law enforcement will tend to, you know, get out of Dodge. Now, to their defense, there's generally a policy that they are not to make statements in relation to interactions that may be perceived in a public relation manner. So they usually refer you to their spokesman, their commander, or some way back to the precinct. Which we were moving along that line when one of the brothers that was part of that team that is checking and verifying credentials or checking other vendors very politely and even firmly said, you know, brother, could you cut the camera off? And obviously we obliged. But the stuff he dropped after that, I was very impressed with. A rarity. His name is Officer Allen, and we had a chance to just speak about the situation related to what's going on in the community. I believe that's the 2-8 precinct. I'm almost certain it's 2-8. If not, it's got to be either 2. Yeah, it's got to be 2-8 because it's a block from 2 blocks down. Anyway, Officer Allen, very impressed. He just gave what his thoughts, his sentiments were that he couldn't put on camera. But in instances like that, when officers are ready to bridge the divide, because there is a serious divide between the community and the law enforcement personnel that polices it. No matter how you choose to package that, how you choose to explain it, there is a divide, and even there are tensions that exist in some of the most basic of interactions with law enforcement. That I know the moniker here is CPR, courtesy, professionalism. What is it? Courtesy, professionalism, and respect. And I probably, you know, there are some who flow on that level. But then what hits the paper and what hits the news cycles most often is the situations that we see nationally. Law enforcement murder. I can't think of another term, where people are being shot in the back, running away, where people are being shot on the West Coast in the midst of an epileptic attack, where 12, 13-year-old children with toy guns out in a park can be assassinated seconds after engagement with a law enforcement officer. And with all of these affronts, no justice is gotten by us as a community. So if anyone who is a part of seeing, receiving, and visually being aware of those situations, you can't help but be very apprehensive, very defensive in some instances, but in most instances cautious when you're engaged. And I'm not talking no high-speed chase through the inner city with you throwing weapons out the window, and I'm talking about your basic interaction at a regular stop, that a light you didn't see, or, you know, and I have to be honest, the older you get, you're less in those kind of roundups. But as a younger man, it was the norm. In my high school years, stopped, routinely harassed, had your pockets padded, spoken to in a very disrespectful manner, was pretty much the norm. My upbringing, most of you know, I'm born in Harlem, but a lot of my lineage and my upbringing rolls through the South Bronx. Mitchell houses, Mott Haven, those were my stomping grounds. And the interactions for most of the black and Hispanic men in that community, it was a level of hostility as the norm. So, again, back to the president to have an interaction like I did with Officer Allen was refreshing. He spoke from a place that let me know he was aware of the environment that he's in from a perspective that allows him to be an effective officer. Because to be an effective officer in a particular community that you are policing, you have to have some background understanding of the socio-economics, the psychological, and the emotional underpinnings of that community and how it relates to those different generations in the community. Because if you're policing the young, you're policing the elders, and you're policing everybody in between. So that means speaking with them, helping them. You're a public servant. You're an officer of the law. So you should be able to represent yourself in a way that upholds that. And from my interaction with Officer Allen, I believe he's cut from that cloth. So I don't know how far the word might get up the chain, because I know, they got the NYPD camera there, and now they're going to monitor this. But y'all got a good one in Officer Allen, just giving the props. So Baba TV, you out here representing. We know we got Sonetta down in Atlanta. Shout out to Sonetta. I listened to him earlier today. He did a very good upload on the doctors out here, the folks out here in the holistic community. We have great ones, but then we have some that may not be upholding that. And he really did a very good expose. And the callers, the quality of people that are interacting on these subjects, on these hangouts, I'm very impressed with. So he's doing really well.